Hey guys, this is Spencer with Destructoid.com, and I'm here with Teddy.
Diefenbach from Rad Dragon. How's it going?
Yeah. So you made a game, didn't you?
I did. I made a game called the Moonlighters.
You did. It's actually looking quite good. Do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. We're showing it here at Indiecade, or the Indiecade section of E3, and it's a heist action game set in the 50s. It's about a group of entertainers, kind of like the Rat Pack, who resort to stealing when rock and roll puts them out of a job.
So it's like a bunch of washed-up has-beens trying to pull heists?
Yeah, pretty much. They figure they could, they think if they could pull off a heist in the movies, they could do it for real, which is kind of ludicrous.
No, I mean that's always worked.
Yeah, like in the past, historically, I think if people do something in a movie and then they try to do it for real, it works out swimmingly.
I mean, I learned how to drive based on action movies, so.
Me too, actually.
So the gameplay of the game, it's like an isometric kind of weird free-form exploring game. Like, do you have a way to put that better than I could?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's basically an action RPG because you control each member of your team one step at a time and pull off the heist with these, very mechanics that are very inspired by the games of like the late 90s JRPGs that we really love. So you got things like hookshot, dodge roll, teleport, things that are really like crunchy and tight, that are really like action gameplay.
Yeah, but it's a free form. It's not strictly an RPG, right?
No, it's definitely, there's adventure game inspirations. We looked at a lot of games like stacking and the old LucasArts games. There's a lot of going back and forth between action sequences and things like talking to people, gambling, drinking, finding stuff.
So it's kind of funny that you mentioned stacking, actually. As we were looking at the game, I definitely saw a lot of influence from stacking in like the color palette and the art style. The game itself has a really unique, it's got that 50s aesthetic. Like, how did you guys go about coming up with that?
Well, I'm a huge fan of the 50s and the Rat Pack and like Sinatra and his peers. So it's just like a lifelong thing I wanted to do, was combine that with the games that I've always loved, right? And there's this really weird thing that happened at the end of the 50s where in the 50s, TV had just come around, right? But there were only a few networks. So the whole world was really focused on just like a small number of entertainment pieces, much different than today. And then as rock and roll came in and teen culture showed up in the 60s, things changed really dramatically, and their careers went from literally the kings of entertainment to kind of obsolete. And it's really uncomfortable and weird to watch interviews with them later on, and kind of sad. So I wanted to turn that into kind of a ludicrous heist game. And
we were talking about some of the campaigns in the game, like some of the missions. The one that you have available on the floor is it's the team pulling off their heist movie, essentially. So they're running around doing all their stuff with the cameras. But you also said that later at some point because it takes place over several years. So later they are infiltrating a rock show and messing up the band there and trying to, just because they're bitter old men, men and women. Do you have any influence? Because the game itself, it looks very, very funny. Like the stuff that we played, I was chuckling quite a few times. Did you have any influences on how to make the game funnier? Like any movies or games or anything that you thought would influence you?
Yeah, I mentioned the game started as my thesis at USC in the Interactive Media Division, and that's part of the film school. I actually came to USC first to work in television, so I'm a huge fan of TV. And looking at things like a lot of what Joss Whedon did with the Firefly series, where they can have material that's kind of dark and kind of sad, like these guys who are washed up actors who can't get any work, but find places for it to be funny and kind of goofy and walk the line between them, I think.
So do you have any plans on publishing? Do you know, because the game's not done, do you know when it's maybe going to be out at some point? Or are you just gonna let this rot?
No, I have some. No way. There's probably two ways this is gonna go. We're here at E3 trying to get some attention for the game and talking about different publishing options. We'd like to go a route of maybe doing downloadable console, which means we'd probably go and build out, polish up the rest of those heists. So 13 heists probably take us a little bit over a year to produce all the content. So you'd be seeing it once we sign that deal, about a year after that. The other option is that we might start releasing it episodically, just to get it out there, because we really want people to keep playing it.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's locked away in these expo halls and on hard drives, because it's a game that you don't really see, because there's not a ton of heist games when you get Payday, but that's about it. I think it's a setting that's really kind of underexplored in games, so it's a crime that it's not being played by everybody.
Yeah, I think those of us that love heists, Andy Schatz was really cool and met with me and talked to me about Monaco and what he did with heists and the different angles we can explore. I don't want to talk about heist game makers like a community, but you know, like people really dig heists, and there's a lot of things you can do with it. We actually started making this game as like a strategy RPG, like a Final Fantasy Tactics style game, and it was just too, like, it was cool. It was a really cool idea, and the paper prototypes were awesome, but it was too slow. It wasn't like punchy enough to be kind of like the comic feel, the energy that we're going for, so we changed it.
All right, well, it's been great talking to you, man. Love to hear from you in the future. Definitely tell us when that game comes out. But as for everybody at home, keep it locked on Destructoid.com for all of your E3 coverage needs. And I'll see you guys later. Boom.